Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York City, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show. Welcome to episode 400. I never really say the episodes, but that's pretty impressive. We got to 400 episodes. Yes. Impressive. It's exhausting to even think about it, but it's great that we've been doing it. It's 400 Bhagavatam classes. What do you say about that, Kaustubha?
Yeah, well, it's nice to be here, I suppose. But we still got, we're still only in the 7th chapter of the 3rd canto, so there's a long way to go. 400 is like kind of a small number when you think about it that way.
Yeah, but when you think about it, you're going to get to that end of the Bhagavatam and you're going to be like, now what? Now what am I supposed to do with my life? And then we're going to just think of something new and creative to do. We're going to do it again. We're going to go to some other, what's the word? Voluminous book? Voluminous? How do you pronounce that, Mara?
Voluminous.
Voluminous book. But yeah, we're on the 3rd canto. Any other announcements before we jump in? I got an interesting little nectar nugget for you. What's going on?
Isn't Saturday? Aren't you doing a Bhakti Center kind of online retreat?
We should have this discussion before class.
well, okay, you said announcement, so I thought we might need to change the time. But you haven't considered that, apparently.
I haven't considered that. That's this Saturday. I gotta get my COVID. I'm going to anyway. I've got to get my COVID-19 test, my PCR test. Oh my God! You know what it's like to get a PCR test? Because the results take 72 hours. I don't know if anyone else is traveling, have to suffer with this crazy thing. It takes 72 hours to get the results, but you need it 72 hours before your flight. That's a tight little window. Mm-hmm. That might not even make the window. And now they want it printed. It's very, very tricky. Very, very tricky.
Okay. In any case, on Saturday, we may need to make some
shift
change.
Things around.
Yeah.
And then Sunday, I'm trying to get a special guest, but I can't announce him. I can't announce this special guest yet, but he's a special person.
So much for our announcements.
So there goes our announcements.
We have some Patreon stuff going on today.
Okay.
Yep. Do tell.
Michelle Berger is teaching an asana class at 6:30 a.m. And then there's a Bhakti recovery group meeting at noon. And Raghu, you're doing your memoir reading tonight at 7 p.m.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Thanks for reminding me. I'm pretty chill usually, but when it gets to like a time limit, like Monday, I'm leaving for Nepal. My brain starts to just become tangled like a knot, like a granny knot that is really tight and you just can't untangle it. And I just like get into I'll be in panic mode now for the next 4 days, where just like everything's falling through the cracks. If I may need a reminder tonight for that class, Mara.
Got it.
Thank you. If you don't mind. You know what I'll do? I'll put the alarm. I'll set an alarm for 6:45 p.m. And you know what'll happen? An alarm will go off and I'll be like, I have no idea what that alarm is for. I haven't figured out how to put a note on the alarm yet. Want to hear an interesting story?
Okay.
Check this out. A son asked his father, "Father, what is the value of human life?" He said, "That's the most important question." He said, "You know what?" And then the father reaches into his drawer, into a bag, and he pulls out this stone. And he gives that stone to his son. And he said, "Here's what I want you to do. I want you to go into the marketplace, and I want you to put it like you're selling the stone on a table. Don't sell it. Just put it there. And when people come up to you and say, 'How much for that stone?' you just go like this. You put up 2 fingers and see what they say. Come back to me." So he did that. And somebody just actually walked by and looked at the stone, picked it up. He said, "How much for the stone?" And he just goes like, puts up 2 fingers. He goes, $2? All right, I'll take it for $2. So he went back. He didn't sell it. He went back. He goes, "The guy wants to buy this stone for $2. He goes, "Yeah, don't sell it to him. I want you to take this stone to a museum." Same thing. I want you to put up a sale. And I want you to go where there's other stones in the museum. I want you to put up a little table, put that stone down there. And just when someone asks, "Are you selling that stone?" just put up 2 fingers. And so he goes to the museum and does the same exact thing. And museum people are just like walking by and like, "Oh, are you selling that stone?" He just puts up 2 fingers. He goes, $200 for that stone? "Yeah, I'll give you $200 for that stone." And so he didn't sell it, but he's like, "Oh man, this stone, I'm going to get $200 for this. A second ago, I could have got $2 for this." He goes back. He's $200, Dad. Should I sell the stone? Now the dad, who actually knew the worth of this stone, he said, no. I want you to take this to someone who deals with precious stones. And he brought it to a guy who dealt with precious stone. He goes, "Are you selling this stone?" And he just put up 2 fingers like his father told him. He said, "I'll give you $200,000 for this stone." And the kid sort of lit up. But he didn't sell it because his father told him, "Don't sell it." So he brought it back to his father. He goes, "Father, $200,000 for this stone." All right, you ready for the takeaways?
This better be good. We're waiting now. Wrap it up, Raghu.
You, Kaustubha,
Yeah.
are that precious stone.
Oh, what are you talking about?
But we have to associate with those who see our worth. We're the precious stone. But if you don't understand your worth, you sell yourself for $2. So you sell your... The story is taught to people like in business. Don't sell yourself cheaply. Understand your worth. You have self-doubts. You're blind to your value. Don't just give your time and your energy away to people who don't value you. But as a devotee, the story sort of has like another meaning too. He's like, don't sell your love cheaply, right? Don't sell your body cheaply. Don't sell your time and energy and love cheaply to people who don't value your worth. But before anybody can value you, you have to claim your worth. You have to realize your value. Our value comes, and culture teaches us something different. Our value comes from our stuff. Our value comes from our body, our looks, our hair, or our purse, our car, our Platinum American Express cards. Our value comes from our birth. We're spirit souls. And I'm not going to just let anybody into my life because I know my value. And therefore, I want to associate with people who give me that worth. And I want to treat myself like I have worth. No one's going to treat me like I have worth if I don't treat myself like I have worth. And thirdly, for a person practicing bhakti, and this is a big one. Now, first we have to go through those phases. I have to treat myself with worth, and then other people will treat me with worth. And the third phase is once we really imbibe that, then we assist in helping people see their worth. Because the world, many people in this world walk around and they don't claim their worth yet. And we have to penetrate and go right into their heart and recognize their worth, even if they can't recognize.
Can you define that worth?
Huh?
What do you mean by the worth? Like, okay, you say I have my worth by my birth, but what is the worth?
The worth is that we're part of God. That's the worth. The worth is that we're part of God. See, what happens is we suffer in this pendulum I'm preaching to you like you don't know this stuff.
Well,
You're
no,
just
I mean, I
you're
wanna hear it.
playing dumb.
I'm
You're
not. I
playing
really wanna
dumb.
hear.
Jester.
I really wanna
It's okay.
understand
This is
this
how
thing.
this is how conversations go.
Okay.
Because we have a material conception, we vacillate between I'm the greatest and I'm a piece of crap. And that pendulum will go back and forth between two sides of the ego. I'm the greatest, I'm cool, I look good, or I look like hell, I'm worthless. Who would love me? It's the same ego. It's the two different sides of the same coin, because we're trying to find our worth from our physical being, but we have a spiritual inheritance that we are. That is our real worth.
I think
Your
that's it.
inheritance, right? Your net worth is not your net worth. Your net worth is your fact that you're a spirit soul and your contribution to this world. So part of our dharma or our integrity is our contribution to the world. And we all get born with the spiritual worth. Our spiritual self is a gem, and how we use that's what dharma is. Our giving back to the world, that becomes our value. The other stuff is temporary. It's we were saying that poem yesterday. Don't let your, what is it, beauty be your worth. That poem I read yesterday. Don't let your face be your worth. Don't let your stuff be your worth. That's not our net worth. That's our net stuff. Net stuff. I like that. It's not our net worth. Our net stuff is not our net worth. That's a takeaway. Somebody write that down.
No, I like that because, you see that there's so much struggle with this kind of thing, and it comes out, people feeling insecure or whatever, in so many different ways.
It's huge.
But usually the answer to it isn't on the platform of transcendental knowledge, but usually it's the answer remains on the material platform. So it's like, even though you're this, you're actually not that. A lot of it is like trying to convince ourselves we're beautiful or we're sexy or something like that, right? Like
Sure.
a lot of it comes off that way, and that's not the answer. The answer is to understand that whatever I look like, it's just a momentary phase that that this body is going through, right? And I've been through so many bodies, and some of them have been more attractive than others, and and as long as I stay on this path, I'll continue to go up and down. But there's something underneath it all, right? That's the real worth, as you're saying, or the real value. And if I understand that, then it doesn't matter. All of that all becomes so much easier. When I just realize, I'm temporarily in this body, and I'll be in other bodies. It's no big deal. Right.
So there is a birthright of worth in the fact that we're all living spiritual beings. Yeah, but then there is this concept of giving back and also seeing that worth in other people. And that's what makes someone a beautiful parent, a beautiful teacher, a beautiful friend. I just did this podcast with this guy who's a best-selling author, J.C. Martinez, who was in like Iraq and got his Humvee blown up, and he suffered burns on like half of his face and half of his body. And his story was about how he just overcame just living with that disfigured body. And he's just like one of these persons, like just like inspirational people that just, brings a smile to your face. And we've created a culture that puts their worth on such petty, superficial things that we realize these are transient anyway. They're temporary anyway. It's a poor investment. There's another place we should be investing. And that investment for people practicing bhakti, it becomes sort of obvious. I'm a spiritual being. I can't forget that that's my genuine self, my genuine value. And then to recognize, once I recognize my value, then I'm not going to let any creeps in my life. I'm going to be careful where I give my love and my time and my energy, especially if I'm investing lots of times. And at the same time, I want to contribute to the world, and I want to see people past their flesh, past their frame, and help them discover that in themselves.
All right. Thank you for that nugget this morning, Raghu.
Well, that's a nuggie. That's a nuggie. If you like it, you keep it. Mara, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Episode 400. I want to thank you.
Thank you guys. It's amazing.
You're precious, Mara. Did anybody tell you that this morning? You're a precious gem.
Thank you, Raghu.
All right, Kaustubha.
You ready?
Let's start with some magical incantations, perhaps. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim sarasvatim vyasam tato jayam mudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloki bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service to the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Kaustubha?
Oh,
Translation.
I was born blind in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual masters treated my eyes with the words of their knowledge. So I offer my respectful obeisances unto them.
That was beautiful. Tell us where we are today, Kaustubha.
We're in the third canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 7. And we're at text. I think we're at text. So let me pull this up. 15. Maitreya has spoken, and now Vidura is going to reply. Maitreya has shared these incredible insights using great analogies to help us understand why we go through miseries in life and how we can correct it. And Vidura's feeling excited about the answers.
This book, the Srimad Bhagavatam, is here to remind us of our worth.
Okay. I guess that's the theme for today.
Well, you get this all the time because people don't understand humility. They just humility means to beat themselves up on a regular basis. But it's not genuine humility. Because you'll hear devotees say, I am very small. That's not humility. That's honesty. Mm-hmm. Honesty means I see myself in relationship to the universe. There's no me being so arrogant about everything, steeped in this. What do I know? I am very small. That's just honesty. But my real value is, I'm sorry I'm running with this. It's just sort of like on my mind now. My real value is I'm part of God. That's my highest value. And my greatest worth is to sort of like, to lead with that as a spiritual being, to lead with that, not lead with all these material things and my body, my abs, my eyes, my legs. That who cares? Who cares? Okay, sorry, just had to get that. So yeah, the Bhagavatam is doing that for us. So text 15, my friend.
Yes.
Vidura said, O powerful sage, my Lord, all my doubts about the personality of Godhead and the living entities have now been removed by your convincing words. My mind is now perfectly entering into them. Text 16, O learned sage, your explanations are very good, as they should be. Disturbances to the conditioned soul have no other basis than the movement of the external energy of the Lord.
These are powerful statements.
Yeah.
That's a takeaway right there. Disturbances to the conditioned soul have no other basis than the movement of the external energy of the Lord. Right? It means that which is prone to the influence of time. Right? That which, and just the same things you're talking about, my body. What did you say? My legs, my eyes, my abs.
All the thing we value. Like, for example, it's well known to our Zoom audience as well as everyone else. Kaustubha has very beautiful hands. Show them.
Okay, I'm like, where
you know that. We know that. They're delicate. They're like,
someone's going to come and cut my hand off one of these days just to,
I know. Well,
to
don't
check the
value
second half
those
of the
hands
analogy,
as
right?
you. Don't value them as you. They're not you, man.
All right.
I don't think you lead with them. We just notice. Okay. Because that hand severed from your body is now that beautiful
It's
hand
very
has become
disgusting.
ghastly.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But really, seriously, if I'm experiencing disturbances, right, and we all experience disturbances in some way, if we can categorize them, if we can recognize them, this is, on one way or another, let me dissect this and understand that my disturbance has arisen due to somehow misunderstanding, the material energy, somehow, not fully embracing the idea that the material energy is always moving, right? Here it says there's no other basis than the movement of the external energy of the Lord. Mm. But, it's almost like that, you shared with us at one time, you visited a temple, you're kind of new to the whole thing, and one of the monks in the temple said to you,
"You're going to tell the story where my dhoti fell off in the temple."
No.
Oh.
It wasn't. I was going to tell the story where that monk said to you, you should just give this one life.
Oh, yeah.
To God, right? Just give this one life. And from your perspective, it's like, but one life is everything. What are you talking about? Like, you say it as if it's like insignificant, but what you're asking me to do is something massive. But from his perspective, no, it's just like one life is just one among so many. Yeah. He had a much broader perspective. And to him
he was a young fanatic, but he was seeing from the absolute. But what he was saying was possibly true. We just have one life. At least that he was saying what the Vedas teach, that this is actually an insignificant, temporary, momentary, dreamlike life.
Right. And so it's not such a big deal. It goes by quick, and we got to focus and make an offering of it. So like when someone says this, when someone says, I'm disturbed, I've got this problem, I've got this issue, I'm suffering because of it. And then someone might respond, well, try to understand that there's no basis to what you're experiencing except for the movement of the external energy of the Lord. And the response would be like, yeah, that's the problem. It's moving in ways that are problematic, but here the encouragement is to try to see it as like, yeah, but I'm that moon. I'm not the water, right? Mm. I'm that moon. I should be able to sit here, understand that all the external energy, including my body, including the body of my loved ones, including my possessions, is going to go through these changes. I know that already. It's taken for granted. And that prepares me to view it from a much broader perspective and not be disturbed when it changes, because I know it's going to change. And knowing that it's going to change, I better find out where I'm going to find that doesn't change, how I'm going to take shelter of, how I'm going to relate to and feel the support of something that doesn't change. And that requires spiritual knowledge, right? That requires understanding spirit. Spirit and matter, you have to understand them side by side, right? And when you do, then you can pass through those difficulties. Stand fixed in truth.
Of course, I want to, I'm sorry to interrupt. Of course, I want to say, like, as people practicing bhakti, our heart extends all the time to people suffering. That's part of practicing bhakti, is we care about those who are in a painful condition. Our heart goes out to them. We never sit back and go, well, just get in their karma, deal with the material energy, people. It's shifting. It's going to shift. Our heart will always extend, but it's what Kaustubha's giving lessons for ourselves, how we deal when the energy is going against us. That is like, that's how we say this is temporary. We're going through it. It's sort of advice to the self.
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be applied to others as well, but how you apply it requires some tact.
No, meaning
right?
we don't just say like, I hope that guy gets his karma, or that person's just getting his karma,
or just deal with it because it's your karma. What's your problem?
Get over it.
Yeah. But ultimately, the greatest thing you can do for a person that's suffering that way is help them understand. Sometimes people aren't going to be capable of understanding it, and sometimes they are. And one who's really cares and is really gifted, they'll know what to share and how to share it, at what time to share it, if you're sensitive like that, right?
I'm having flashbacks to a movie I saw. You got to see this movie. If you haven't seen Seaspiracy yet, have you seen that?
Cowspiracy?
Everybody, thank God we don't not Cowspiracies. The makers of
Then others-
Cowspiracy
oh,
wrote
Seaspiracy.
Seaspiracy.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
tell
I've heard
ya.
about
I tell ya.
Heard about it.
If you're eating fish, stop right now. Before you put another fish stick in your mouth, you got to watch this movie. It's such a game changer. Oh my God. Oh my God. Just watch this movie. I don't even want to talk about it. Just watch the movie.
Well, is there some connection to what we were discussing?
Yes.
Or maybe at least share that.
People suffer in this industry, especially in these developing countries. People are taken onto these ships by these evil captains, kidnapped, kept as like slaves on the ship in the middle of nowhere. And they're made to work as slaves. They lure them onto the ships, these young boys and stuff like that. Yeah, come on, we'll make some money. And you get them out to the sea and they just like abuse them and they kill them. It's unbelievable what goes on in the name of me getting my salmon or whatever. Yeah, it's one.
Okay, I'm off of fish for good.
Okay,
I'm
off
not
of fish
going
for
back.
good, Kaustubha. No more fish sticks for you.
All right. Text 17 is an interesting one.
Text 17. Both the lowest of fools and he who is transcendental to the intelligence enjoy happiness. That's a good one, huh? The lowest of fools enjoys happiness, and the transcendental all enjoy happiness, whereas the persons between them suffer the material pangs. That's why I'm so happy. I'm the lowest fool. I was like thinking maybe I'm in the middle, but no, I'm happy most of the time. I think I'm just a fool.
Well, I guess one thing that the verse is saying is that if we feel happy in this material world, but it's not on the transcendental level, then we're a fool.
Yeah.
Right? Because our happiness is attached to something that's about to fall apart.
Yeah. It's like laughing on the way to the slaughterhouse or something like that.
Yeah.
It's we don't get it. We're like partying, and we have like a time bomb strapped to our leg, and we're like ah. So yeah, there's always. I mean, I think there's a type of joy that comes when you understand that we're trying to train ourselves not to be that. And at the same time, somewhere in the middle is, I guess somewhere in the, yeah, I guess maybe a lot of us are stuck in the middle. Like we're on a spiritual path, but we're not fully like realized, but we understand the material world has pain in it. But I guess when we are realized beings, there's just that deep joy in the self. So the sober, I guess we suffer with the sobriety of material existence, yet not fully connecting with our spiritual existence yet.
But that's a good place to be, relatively to the fool, right?
Yeah, although the fool might be happier.
Well, yeah, extra in one sense, right? But yeah, it's saying the name of the fool here is saying the words uses mudha, tamaha, right? So
okay, so that fool, the mudha, is not actually happy. It's almost like the people who are like, yeah, thank God it's Friday. Let's get drunk out of our minds.
It's a superficial happiness.
It's a super,
yeah, like the drunken
superficial.
person appears to be happy, right? But
They're hugging everybody they don't know.
Yeah.
They're kissing people they don't know. They're falling down, laughing, falling down, vomiting.
Yeah, like the wise person knows they're in the course of doing a lot of stupid things that will cause their suffering later, including the hangover that's like destined to come, right? So it's like it's not like a substantial type of happiness. Now the other person is called the Budhe Param, the person with transcendental intelligence.
Param Budhe. Param Bud. Budhe. That means supreme intelligence.
Yeah. Param can also mean like transcendental, right? It's like their intelligence is engaged in that which transcends, matter. So that person, their happiness is substantial now, right? They're going back to where you started. Their happiness isn't based on anything material. Their happiness is that internal happiness, right? Which the Gita speaks so much about, finding that internal happiness. So that's something that's real, and that's very much the goal of yoga to reach that. But when you're in between, then you're suffering, right? But that suffering that's not a bad place to be if you're inquiring, right? Like how to end it,
This has been my theme this week. When it's bad, it's good.
Okay.
When it's good, it's bad. When it's good, you forget about Krishna sometimes. When it's good, it's bad. Because everything's good. But when everything's bad, you're thinking, Oh, Krishna, why? And then you feel really connected to Krishna. So if you're practicing bhakti and you're going through some bad, that's good.
That's the takeaway.
But if it's good, that's bad.
Okay.
Okay. How you feeling today, Mara?
I don't know what to say.
She's got caught. She's like, oh, good.
Feeling bad.
Okay, text 18. But my dear sir, dramatic reading by Raghunath. But my dear sir, I'm obliged to you because now I can understand that the material manifestation is without substance. Although it appears real, I am confident that by serving your feet, it will be possible for me to give up the false idea. You know, I'm reading this book by Hriday Nanda Maharaj. You know, it starts off like a regular novel, and I was really getting into it, and now it's taken a mystical twist. I was like, oh, this is a good. I'm reading like it's probably going to be spiritual. He is a Swami. And it's starting off like this just drama of a kid whose father dies. And I was like, okay, you know what? All right, I'm going to read a good regular old novel now. But now it's switched into the transcendental. And it's brought me to this whole thing right now. He's dreaming that he's in the spiritual world. Then I started thinking, what if I'm dreaming now? And there is an awake version of me when I sleep. And I'm thinking, I'm in the same way I'm reflecting on my dreams. The dream version is me who is awake is reflecting on this version of Raghunath, and then I got lost in this world. But this is basically
Raghu, that was your breakthrough. you hit it. Go back to that. Keep digging into that. You had it for a moment there.
I had it. I was realized for a second.
Yeah, that's the idea. In one sense, is that
this is the dream
we're asleep and we're dreaming. And so this verse, when you look at this text 18, this is what he's saying here. It's directly tied into the verses that we read in the previous days, right? He's saying, I'm obliged to you. You've helped me understand something.
You're just dream Kaustubha. You're not even the real Kaustubha.
Well, it's kind of like that, because this isn't, this body that you look at when you see me isn't me.
You're not those beautiful hands, friend.
No, they will, and they will wither away and disappear too. Like the unreality of them will become confirmed at a certain point. Right.
You're not this world famous chef.
But he's saying, so my dear sir, I'm obliged to you because now I can understand. You've opened it. You just like we were saying in the morning, right? I was blind in darkness. You treated my eyes with your words of knowledge. So therefore, my dear sir, I'm obliged to you. And he says, because now I can understand what? That this material manifestation is without substance, right? It's here one moment, it's gone the next. Everything.
How does that make you feel?
Well,
it's not real.
It's
not your wife. That your new apartment you moved into, it's not yours. Got nothing to do with you.
It's good.
When next time I go there, I'm just stealing stuff. Just to give you the realization it's not yours. If you see me walking around out with like a box, it's not. Isn't that unbelievable? It's unbelievable. Listen, Kaustubha, time itself is going to take all your possessions anyway.
Yeah, you got to know that. But to me, when I hear this verse, it almost brings me back to like the Matrix, right? It's like you got that Keanu Reeves character, right? And then you got like the guru character, right?
Yeah.
What's his Lawrence Fishburne?
If you want the God honest truth, every time I've watched The Matrix, I fell asleep. Every time. I've seen it 6 times, fallen asleep in the first 40 minutes. It's a good movie,
Morpheus.
Though. And I know Morpheus. The references, the green pill, red pill. Go on. I don't know. You
sort of know them anyway. Yeah. So, but it's like one person is helping someone realize that their very conception of reality has to be shifted in a dramatic way. And when it shifts, it's like, I get everything now. Right. So Vidur is saying to Maitreya, whoa, you just shifted everything for me. Right. With that great analogy that you used about seeing my own head being cut off, and how that's a logical fallacy. And with this analogy you gave about the moon, how the moon is steady, but it's rippling on the water because the water is rippling. That's helped me understand my relation to this world. It shifted everything. So he says, I'm obliged to you because now I understand that this material manifestation is without substance, right? It's not it's constantly shifting and changing. It's not substantial. And then but not only that, but you gave me the answer to how to transcend it, how to get out of the matrix. And then he says, I'm confident that by serving your feet, it will be possible for me to give up the false idea, right? Like, even though I know that it's true now, I have to go deeper into this. I have to, and you've given the remedy as service, as devotional service, because that devotional service, that's my nature, right? To serve is my nature. To serve God is my nature. And so now I'm understanding that by acting in the consciousness of truth, that all that's insubstantial, all my material attachments, all my material illusion will dissipate. All right? And then he continues with that in text 19. Are you frozen, Raghu? Or are you just thinking? I think he's frozen, huh? I didn't know.
I think so.
Okay.
He looks very studious.
Yeah. Okay. Raghu, come back. All right. So I'll read text 19 and hopefully Raghunath will come back. So text 19 says, by serving the feet of the spiritual master, one is enabled to develop transcendental ecstasy in the service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the unchangeable. Right? Here's the contrast. Whereas the material world is insubstantial, constantly changing. Here it's saying that serving God, who is unchanging, and it uses this term, he's the unchangeable enemy of the Madhu demon, and whose service vanquishes one's material desires. I bet you know what probably happened to Raghu?
I'm back.
You're back. Okay, I say your battery probably ran out.
What were you going to say? Oh, you thought my battery died. Oh, Kaustubha.
What?
No. It's bad internet. Bad internet.
Actually, yeah, because you froze up on us for a while there.
I froze. You all froze. I was like, he's talking. I wonder if he's going to even notice that I'm frozen.
How did you know that you were frozen?
Did you notice?
It took a while.
No, I wasn't frozen. Everybody else was frozen.
No, well, for us, you were frozen.
I was trying to reach it. It was like getting caught in a dream where you can't move.
The dream analogy goes further.
Yeah. All right, let's go back into the verses here.
Okay, so I just read text 18, but you can read it again. Text 19. Sorry.
By serving the feet of the spiritual master, one is enabled to develop transcendental ecstasy in the service of the personality of Godhead, who is the unchangeable enemy of the Madhu demon, and whose service vanquishes one's material distress.
Yeah. So again, that service, right, is the nature of the self, right? The nature of the self isn't to enjoy the things of this world. We're trying to uncover that internal identity, the true identity that we have, which is ultimately service. And so it's saying here that by acting in consciousness of that, one's material distresses will become vanquished, right? And here Vidur speaks of Krishna. He calls him unchangeable, right, to contrast him with the material energy. And then he calls him the enemy of the Madhu demon, Madhusudana. You familiar with that term, Raghu?
There was a Madhu demon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the whole pastime, though. Are you?
I know the pastime. Yeah.
Do tell.
It's actually, in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna refers to Krishna as Madhusudana 5 times. Right. And then we find through Bhagavatam and other places, he's referred to as Madhusudana, like we see right here. And so the idea, why that one in particular, I'm not sure, because Krishna slays many demons, right? But the demon Madhu, there's 2 of them. There's Kaustubha and Madhu. And they stole, when you stand too still, I'm worried that you're frozen. Are you still there with us, Raghunath? He's frozen again. He looks like he's taking it all in. He's like, okay, tell me about this demon Madhu, and now he's gone again. All right. So anyway, I'll tell the story, at least briefly. That when Brahma was born on the lotus flower, that I guess he's sitting there and he's got the 4 Vedas, and it's based on the Vedas that he's like gonna, kind of do his service, right? And but the demon Madhu stole the Vedas from him. So Krishna incarnated as Hayagriva, which is like the horse, Krishna coming in the form of a horse, and he retrieves the Vedas from Madhu and slays the demon Madhu. Okay, Raghu's back. Raghu, you with us? Speak up. Where are you, Raghu? Hello, come in.
Sorry,
There you go. You froze on me again. I'm telling you that about Madhu.
All right, sorry about
Should we
that.
try
What
it
did I
again?
miss?
You missed the whole story about Madhu, but we're moving on.
Okay.
No, he
Anyway,
stole the
idea-
Vedas. He stole the Vedas from Brahma, and Krishna incarnated as Hayagriva and retrieved the Vedas.
Yes.
But here, sometimes it's said like that Madhu is like, well, if we go back to where we started, text 15, he says, all my doubts about the Supreme Personality of God and the living entities have now been removed.
Yeah, Madhu represents doubts, doesn't it?
Like doubts, other things too. Like Krishna says, I pulled up something else. This is from the second, in the first verse of the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, after Arjuna's like completely like given up, right? Like, I don't know what to do. He's thrown down his bow. He's reached rock bottom there, right? He's confused. So the first verse of the second chapter is Sanjaya speaking, and he says, seeing Arjuna full of compassion and very sorrowful, his eyes brimming with tears, Madhusudana Krishna spoke the following words. So there Sanjaya calls Krishna Madhusudana. And so Prabhupada writes, material compassion, lamentation, and tears are all signs of ignorance of the real self. Compassion for the eternal soul is self-realization. The word Madhusudana is significant in this verse. Lord Krishna killed the demon Madhu, and now Arjuna wanted Krishna to kill the demon of misunderstanding that had overtaken him in the discharge of his duty. Now, beyond that, I also have read something where it said that Madhu, what does the word Madhu mean?
Sweet.
Sweet.
Sweet
So,
like honey.
Yeah, so like honey. And so Madhusudana, which literally means the slayer of the demon Madhu, could mean one who slays, or let's say defeats.
Slays honey.
Slays honey, defeats honey. One that is so sweet that they defeat the sweetness of honey. But then there's another understanding of what honey can refer to. So
it's an analogy wrapped in an analogy.
It's like it's a double or triple analogy. So it says, I think this is from an article that our friend Satyaraj Prabhu wrote. He says there's one final and more esoteric consideration when discussing the name Madhusudana. Not only does it mean he who defeated the demon Madhu, but it also means he who defeats honey, Madhu, in sweetness. Thus, the great commentator Sridhar Swami, is coming from Sridhar Swami, defines the name as follows. False ego is as sweet as honey and resides in the heart of everyone, making one forget their own identity. Okay?
Ooh.
False conception of the self can be something that we try to enjoy sweetness from.
We get proud of our hands.
We get proud of our beautiful hands. We get proud of
our property, our things, our position, our chef position. We get proud of all those things.
We try to taste sweetness from that, right? We try to, when we think about life this way, what am I trying to enjoy sweetness from? Sometimes I'm trying to enjoy sweetness from putting another down. It makes me feel this false conception of myself, inflates when I do that, right? So I'm trying to enjoy some nectar from that. Or whatever it may be. So the false ego here is being described as sweet as honey. False ego is as sweet as honey and resides in the heart of everyone, making one forget their own identity. It intoxicates everyone. He who destroys false ego with the torchlight of knowledge is called Madhusudana.
There we go.
Okay. So it seems that commonly Krishna is being referred to as Madhusudana when we're referring to overcoming those internal struggles that we have, conquering our internal doubts that prevent us from following the path, with determination, conquering the false ego, which has us intoxicated or bewildered, right?
Yes. It's just a different name for Krishna, but this is, in this regard, we use this one. The 12-step recovery, I've lost that verse now because computer shut down there. What was the verse? By serving? Oh, there it is. By serving, text 19. By serving the feet of the spiritual master, one is enabled to develop transcendental ecstasy in the service of the personality of Godhead. You know, this is like the way out. You know, the bhakti recovery people have this wired. Like, you can't get recovery unless you're rendering service. That's why a big part of recovery is to sponsor other people that are also going through recovery.
Right.
And that's the big, and that's part of our bhakti yoga thing. We're always like thinking, what can I give? How can I give? What can I give? What is my service? And in such a state of mind, it also gets us out of our own head. Oftentimes I'm worried about, what I'm going through and my tribulations and stuff like that. But when you start to take care of other people, it gets you out of your own head and your own worries. What do you think about that, Kaustubha?
Well, you know, it reminds me that, you know, once I was participating in a meeting, it was kind of like a meeting of some of the leaders at the Bhakti Center, and Raghunath Swami was there.
Yeah.
And those meetings were like so good because he just reveals so much, you know. He always has these insights, you know.
Secret meetings.
They weren't secret, but in any case, one time I remember in one of those meetings, he says, if you look at the people that come to the Bhakti Center, and the people that benefit the most, right? The people that really connect, and you can really see like they're really deriving the full benefit. They're the people that they have some service here. And he says, even if it's a small service, right? Like, even if it's someone that just like, every now and then I break out the broom and I sweep the stairs or something like that, that becomes really important, you know, because I think it's important on the level of the ego or the false ego. It gives one a real tangible sense that my identity and my happiness is connected to service. You know, I find happiness through service. And that makes a real difference. You know, Raghunath is gone again, but like as he's saying, you know, it's what this yoga has to be taken beyond just theory. We can sit here and theorize all day, but it's got to be taken to the level of practice. And the practice in bhakti yoga is to recognize that my nature, my dharma, right, my very essence is a servant. And then by acting on that, we can help uncover that. We can help uncover that true nature. So when Vidur said, again in text 18, he said, "I'm obliged to you because now I can understand everything. Like now I got the theory right. I'm understanding all that you're saying. I can look at this world and I can analyze it philosophically in a way that's consistent and makes sense, and that's based on truth. I'm looking at the material world and realizing that it's temporary, that it has no true substance. But what are you going to do with that knowledge, right? That knowledge will remain. That's called jnana. That's called knowledge. But then there's another really important word to understand. That's called vijnana. How does that knowledge mature into realization or into wisdom, where I not only know that this is like true, but that it becomes deeply imbibed in me. That truth, I see the world through that truth at every moment. That's called vijnana, or realized knowledge. And so then he responds, how is that going to grow? How will that knowledge be churned into wisdom or into realized knowledge? He says, I'm confident by that serving your feet, it will be possible for me to give up the false idea. So it is a fact, you know, that if in theory we're servants by nature, if in theory our happiness comes through service to God, and by serving God through service to every living entity, then we need to practice that. And how we practice that is called bhakti, or devotional service, right?
By the way, simple. I'm back. By the way,
Yeah, I know.
took a little break.
How many times are you going to do this to us today? Right? It's like you're playing with us. It's like union and separation. You know, it's like there's the bank of.
Do you appreciate me?
Deeper and deeper. There's the bank of separation and the bank of union. And my devotion and my affection for you is running right through that middle of those two banks. The river of my love for you, Raghu, is It's just increasing.
Well, I was thinking like that Bhakti recovery group. We could do the same thing in the sense like, there's people in your life that you could just be like, hey, I'll be your lifeline. If you're ever going through a hard time, you just call me up. You just text me, say, I need to talk. You can immediately be that person and render some service for somebody, and people will appreciate that. We need people of integrity in our life that we can reach out to. We shouldn't have to deal with our own problems ourselves, because oftentimes I can't see my way out of them. And so one thing you could do is, reach out to a person and just text them, especially someone, who's on a spiritual path and you could just say, hey, I just want you to know, if you ever need anything, I'm there for you. Let me be your lifeline. I don't even have to give you a lot of instructions. I just want to listen. And that could be a great friend. And we need that in our life. And it's a great service to offer somebody. Some people feel really alone with their struggle. And it hurts too when I'm scrolling through social media, getting depressed at everybody else's adventurous life and my crappy life. That's how social media works. We're putting on the highlight reel of our existence. No one really sees our real emotions or our real face or our real mind. They just see I'm basically being my own private Madison Avenue for self-promotion. So maybe we could start that today and being
reach out and touch someone.
Reach out and touch someone, man.
Okay. We got any takeaways for today, Raghu?
Reach out and touch someone. Be that friend.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Anything from earlier in the show and not said within the last 4 seconds?
Social media leads to depression. Okay. Practice makes perfect. That was one. Dr. Matthew. Okay. Conquer the false ego through devotional service.
Okay.
I'm scrolling through the hashtags here.
Yeah.
Conquer the false ego is sweet, but service is sweeter. Service to Krishna is sweeter. Mm-hmm. How about that?
Service is the nature of the self.
Service is the nature of the self. I like that.
When it's bad, it's good.
When it's bad, it's good. And hashtag when it's good, it's bad. When it's good.
Okay.
Careful if you say I'm good.
And your worth is something that's inherent, right?
Yeah, your true net worth. External. Boy, Lady Di has been putting up a lot of hashtags. Thank you, Lady Di. Right. True net worth is your contribution. That's one.
Okay.
Don't hang out with people who don't recognize your worth.
Don't let any creeps into your life. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, don't sell yourself for $2. Come on. You're a valuable gem. How about that one? I'm a valuable gem. Don't treat yourself like $2, and don't let other people treat you like $2 or 2 cents. You are so valuable. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. You're all valuable. If no one tells you that today, I'm here to tell you, you are valuable. It's got nothing to do with your hands, your business, your jobs, your coin collection. You know who I'm talking about out there. Nothing to do with your coin collection. A feather numismatist. You know that word? A numismatist?
No, I don't.
Numismaticist? Coin collector.
Okay.
Numismaticist. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. I will see you tonight on Sweet Baby Krishna for the reading of my memoirs. That's my book. I've got to change it from memoirs. I need a name for that. If you got a good name for my book, let me know. If you want to you hear that by joining our Patreon community, the whole podcast itself is a community-supported podcast. So you go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages, and you make a monthly contribution of your choice. Of your choice. And that helps us float this boat in our dreamlike world. And tonight at 7 to 8, I'll be reading. I'll see you there.
All right.
Now,
Katie Bell's doing a lot of dancing this morning. She's letting go.
That dance came on Katie Bell. Come on, Sasha, you want to dance?
There she is.